Downtown Development Authority Board meeting, June the 24th, 2026. Let us have the Pledge of Allegiance. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. I'll call your name. You can answer by giving your name. Jeffrey Townsend here. Keith Witcher. Ben Martin.
Here.
William Knight.
Here.
John Geisler. Larry Rabbit.
Here.
Matt Elliott.
Here.
John Scully.
Mr. Chair, I received an email. He is out with a family emergency.
Okay, thank you. Jasper Nanan. Not here. The approval of the agenda.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. The approval of the, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chair, Larry,
Yes.
did you vote on that for the approval of the agenda?
I'm sorry.
I thought we heard you say something.
My mind said something.
Should we do this again? Should we ask the approval of this agenda again? Should we vote again on it or just?
I think we're all set.
Okay.
I said aye. It's a little delayed.
I thought I heard you, but that's all right. Approval of the May 27, 26 DDA meeting minutes.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes for May 27, 2026.
Support.
Larry Rabbit, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Public comment. A person may speak one time for one more than 3 minutes. This time may not be given to another person to extend their time. The person speaking has the floor and no other person shall speak during someone else's time. During this time, you will be making statements to the board without discussion from the board members, but you are welcome to make an appointment with the authority director to discuss your comments further. Please keep your comments clean and respectful. We don't have
A pen?
no, we don't have a microphone now. Thank you.
Yeah, you can take it in the buttons on the bottom.
Tim Kearney, 9411 Miller Drive. I passed out some packets of some projects that we're doing at the corner of Kings Highway and River Street with some estimate from vendors, just to give you guys a heads up of the direction that we're taking in some of the well-needed projects over in that area. And we did, you can minus the permit. The permit's been received. It's been a long process to get that EGLE permit, but we have it. And that's for the launch. And then we have a project for repaving that back parking lot as well, with just showing you some dollar figures that we're spending over there. Also, I think on the agenda tonight's the topic of discussion for a tornado siren, and I would hope that we could give something to the community out of the DDA's funding for that and make it make it not a discussion, but make it a reality at this time. And I myself would be willing to donate towards that project if you guys go in favor of voting on that. And that the donation would be yet to be decided, but we'll see what you guys come up with. So I just wanted to say thank you and give you some heads up to what we're trying to do over there that's well needed. One more topic is that we've experienced a lot of transients coming through our property, even with posted signs of no trespassing, no loitering. Are we on now? Okay, sorry. Yeah, so we're in pursuit of looking at getting our own security firm over to oversee our area and do some patrolling and just keep, you know, some of the traffic patterns out and deter some of that action that goes on at night. And maybe we could assist in trying to come up with a solution for the entire downtown, but I really don't know how that's going to work. But I would like to bring that topic up because that is something that I see is needed to try to help in the proper, correct way to deter some of the ongoing transit stuff that we see coming through in the. We've had, you know, just people defecating in people's parking lots, you know, open intoxicants, trespassing is definitely that, loitering is definitely going on, nudity and exposures going on. And so we're hoping that we can find a way to properly deter that and work with the right measures to come up with a solution to try to lower that action down and kind of help the downtown area, because it's hard to bring in businesses with that type of a mainstream of your downtown setting. So just bringing that topic up, that we're taking that on ourselves into looking at what we can do to help, and we'll probably bring some more information back and talk with the zoning, is that at the, what's his name, the zoning, what's his position, the zoning
Zoning board.
authority? Dakota, yeah, sorry, drawed a blank on the title, official title, but we'll be working with him and trying to come up with some solutions. So don't know that I can get there, but I think that it's well needed because it's hard to get businesses to want to come into this type of an atmosphere. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Yeah. Look, Supervisor Martin, is there any way that the police department, our county sheriff, can we call them and ask if they could have more patrolling in the area to patrol more?
I'll make a note, and during members' comment, I'll mention a couple ideas.
Thank you. So unfinished business. Thank you, Mr. Kearney. Review and discussion of DDA bylaws.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
the board at the last meeting made several changes to the bylaws, and I made those changes in red for everybody to look over. I can read them out if you guys would like.
Sure, you can do that.
So the first one was section 3. You guys wanted it to more, I'll just read it. Removal of a member a member may be removed from office for cause by a majority vote of the Legislative Board of the Charter Township of Comstock with the consent of the DDA Board. In order to prevent quorum issues that prevent the board from conducting business, failure to attend 2 consecutive regular meetings shall be considered cause for removal of a member, unless otherwise excused. Special meetings should not be counted towards consecutive absences. For purposes of this section, a member who is unable to attend a regularly scheduled meeting shall notify the chairperson and secretary/treasurer as soon as practical. An An absence shall be deemed excused unless within 24 hours, shall be deemed excused unless within 24 hours of such notification, a board member requests that the matter be placed on the agenda of the next regularly scheduled meeting for consideration by the board. Upon such request, the board shall determine by majority vote whether the absence is excused. And then we went on to section 5, and this was basically making it so I can actually not come to a meeting and not be penalized, because it's impossible for that to be a thing. So the secretary/treasurer shall attend all regular meetings of the board unless otherwise excused, and shall record all votes and minutes of all proceedings in a book to be kept for that purpose. The director can perform this duty as required by the board. And then we went on to further down, and the secretary treasurer shall also preside as acting chairperson at all meetings of the board where both the chairperson and vice chairperson are unavailable. And then we went down to section 8, and it says, conduct of meetings. Board members shall be recognized by the chairperson before speaking. Each board member shall be permitted one opportunity to speak on a motion, agenda item, or topic before any member is recognized to speak a second time. Additional opportunities to speak may be granted by the chairperson as necessary to facilitate discussion and the orderly conduct of business. And that was all the changes that I made that you guys requested at the last board meeting. I'd just be looking for a motion to either approve it or discuss it or make more changes.
I make a motion to approve the amendments to the bylaws as presented.
A second.
And then we
Motion
go
by-
into discussion.
Any discussion?
I have nothing, I just did what we discussed. I went back through the minutes of our last meeting and kind of just got the consensus of what we wanted and turned it into words the best I could to make it look good.
I think you did exactly what we talked about last meeting.
Commissioner?
Oh, one of my very favorite things is editing bylaws. I salute you, William.
Member Rabbit?
I think it covered everything that we talked about.
So we need to vote on this. The motion was already,
Yep, motion and second, and it'd just be all in favor.
do we need to say what the motion was? Or,
Nope, it's all there, and unless you have anything.
there's none, have a second, so all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Siren discussion and request for bids.
Mr. Chair, William, do you want to start with it, since you've kind of started with this early on, and maybe kind of get the board up to speed of a synopsis of how you've started and what you've heard and how we got to this point where we're at today? And then any parts that you may miss, I can help fill in.
Okay, so in early 2025, I was being a person that was trying to advocate for sirens for the entire township. So I've done extensive research. I've spoke to multiple vendors, got multiple quotes, got studies done, got people to give us presentations, and then I've even gotten bids for all 3 companies, and I've put that all before the board. Unfortunately, right now it hasn't passed, but last week, me and Ben reached out to Jeff DePluca, who is the West Shore Sirens dealer, and he gave us a quote for 1 siren in the downtown development area. And along with conversations with the fire department and stuff, we're gonna try to see if we can save some money. But The idea is we would like to probably put a siren in the downtown area over here, and eventually the township come in and backfill with the rest of the sirens. But our siren for the DDA would still be a separate entity, and we would be the ones that would have to maintain it and all that stuff. That's pretty much where we're at right now.
So do we need to discuss or speak of the amount that, the quotes that we have? Should we do that openly, or?
So I was gonna let Ben go over the quote that they give us for those single siren, since there's a little bit more detail and he had more in-depth knowledge about what the fire department can or can't maybe do.
Okay, we can turn it.
Yeah, and so I would think, obviously, as our board would seek Robert's rules of order to a certain degree right now, we're not to that point where we formally adopted it, so sometimes we can make a motion, there's support, and then we have discussion, but I think on this matter, you know, before someone jumps a motion out on the table, I think it would be good to have a good discussion.
Yeah.
I followed up with William. William left all of his information on the table and did what he needed to do with 3 quotes for the township board. We have not gotten to a consensus to implement all sirens or maybe do a phased approach, maybe 3, 3, and 3. The quote came in, I believe originally, we have some 9 and 10 siren quotes to cover the municipality. And so we looked at it from the DDA standpoint. There is no ability for us to put a siren in anywhere other than the DDA. That is our body and that is our ground to cover. Looked at some other downtown development boards through talking with the siren companies, and they said downtown development boards do that. And so that would be within the purview of something that we could do. And so the siren, there used to be a siren at Merrill Park, and there's a little bit of infrastructure left there, just kind of showing where that siren was. Whether or not that would be usable, highly unlikely, but it indicates behind the shed over there, or the building where the siren was. And then as we were doing research for the township board, I was tasked with reaching out to communities about particular siren vendors, what their general consensus were about sirens. And most of the people that I talked to were in the emergency management division. And I called a handful of places. Some places had upwards of 70 sirens in some municipalities. Wow. And millions of dollars in expenditures. And then they also had other layers beyond sirens, that they would have sirens, but then they would have big boombox radios programmed to the same frequency in other places throughout communities that didn't have sirens. So they took a multi-layered approach. One of the things that I found was people loved West Shore Services. They had a good working relationship with them. Talking with our fire chief, he has had a good working prior relationship with them as well. The communities that I talked to the emergency management, they had a good positive response. Their community members loved it. And I did not find any community that I spoke with that had anything disparaging to say about emergency early warning sirens. The neat thing about sirens nowadays is if you're, what the terminology they used was the DPW. A lot of municipalities have a DPW, but then the other option is the fire department, because there's staff there and there's a monitoring box with a green light, and somebody needs to be able to pay attention to that light. If that light is not on, then somebody needs to make a call to West Shore so they can get it going. The township hall would not be the place to have that, because 24 hours a day, there's not staff here, but at a fire department there is. We got a general consensus from the fire chief that he would support our efforts and help us with supporting the sirens, to house it, our infrastructure for what would be like a 2-way encoder. And that would be able to receive a signal from the county, and I believe that they're linked with the National Weather Service, that they would be able to sound our alarm. But then in the instance we ever wanted to add different layers of protection, from the county, they would have a standard. They would have a certain wind speed standard, or they would have a standard in a policy that they may only set the alarm or the siren off for a tornado. Other municipalities have done a layered approach where they do it for certain wind speeds that they determine to sound their alarm at. So what we would like to do is we would like to have a two-way encoder in there that could capture a signal from county dispatch. They could trigger the sirens in the instance we have a big storm, all hands are on deck at the fire department and there's nobody to press the go button. But then in the instance that the county one doesn't go off, but we may have a trained spotter and they see a tornado, they could also set the siren off. So obviously with the first siren in the community, we're not only able to just put up one siren, but we got to get the hardware to go with that. I think that comes at some additional cost, but the process to get started with a little bit of momentum to show our community and our downtown that we're in support of safety and investing into something tangible in the community. For my research, 40 years of useful life. So once we calculate these numbers divisible by 40, and you're looking at not a high-end maintenance cost. So you could get, maybe even more, but I think 40 is a conservative number considering we would likely plan to maintain them. And then if you just look from the perspective of our goal is to mitigate deterioration in the downtown. But if we can make the downtown vibrant and we can have foot traffic and people. Yesterday, I spent some time checking out the park while it was really busy. And there's people on nice days that are enjoying it. And if we look at all the things that the downtown has going for it, there's one thing that's there, and that's the river. And we didn't have to invent that one. It was there for us. There's a park, and there's multiple other parks in our DDA plan that lists the number of parks. And then there's businesses that support outdoor recreational activity, and there's a nice bike trail that goes down. And I think, if we piggyback on that outdoor recreational activity, and, you hear people say, well, sirens aren't meant to be heard outside or heard from inside. Well, if we pick the path of, we are promoting outdoor recreation and use of our parks, this is something good to be in the great outdoors. So before we start talking about numbers and money, does anybody have any questions on the sirens as far as my general consensus before we get to that point too was in the Midwest, from my research, West Shore Services was the most known, the most that I got feedback from, and I didn't get anything but good positive feedback from them. And they're very familiar with integration with county dispatch and the two-way encoder system, so we could have like a two-way synergy. And then there's also some homework yet to be done from the fire chief, working with them. He knows more about the lingo, the codes, the frequency, all that stuff that's in their realm. So he could possibly help us maybe lower the price. But in the instance, if we were to take any action, maybe we could take action up to, not to exceed. And then that way, I don't know anybody that would be allergic to saving some money. And if we got approval and came in under, I think that would be good.
I do have a question. So, with the siren, right? Obviously, we're talking about tornado siren, right? Now, we're also close to Fort Custer. Say something happens, and these sirens also should be able to warn people that, I don't want to say the terrorist attack. I mean, you know what I mean? I don't want to say, but, a lot of stuff goes on at Fort Custer. There's a lot of aviation stuff goes on there, right? Now, those sirens also should be able to warn for, stuff like that too, right?
If we had our own policy and we weren't just, if we got a one-way encoder for that, it would only go off the county dispatch, and if the county dispatch decided not to do things like that, obviously with the support of the fire department and the development of this, we're gonna have to look at the synergy of things, is this siren has to go where it needs to go. So when the other sirens are implemented throughout the township, it matches up versus us trying to say, well, let's move the siren so it just hits the DDA more centered.
Sure.
But with that two-way encoder, if we could set them off, we could adopt a policy in conjunction perhaps with the township board, or, it could be something that we decided in the DDA separate. I think we would want to have the synergy with the township board, though, that all of our sirens would go off. If we could set them off, we could likely probably adopt some sort of policy to sound them at an event such as that.
I would agree with that, really, we're all at the, same time, it's something worth having. But yeah, I didn't know, I don't know a whole lot about the ins and outs of these. I just know that this is something that I feel that we really need for just safety of the people and everything going on with the weather we've had, and knowing that we don't have one here was kind of, disturbing. That I think we really need to have one, at least have one started.
I know that depending on which siren we end up going with, there's different sirens that can do different tones. There's even sirens that can do voice. So there's multiple options. It's just about what we end up going with at the end.
Back in the day, it seems like to me, we'd call them civil defense. Back, that siren, air raid sirens, civil defense sirens, the like, and they were originally designed for the protection of the community for any purpose.
That's back when kids used to get under their desks.
Duck and cover, correct?
You're an old man.
Yeah, I remember that too, and now, even Jimmy made me feel old not too long ago, and I'm like, man, am I getting up there at the age these days?
I do think that we did do the diligence at the township board level to get 3 different quotes, and we have a small budget to work with, and I don't think some of those other tone sirens and some of the other options, in my personal opinion, I don't think anything other than a West Shore Services is practical. From support from the fire department, I mean, we're kind of going out on a limb here to kind of do something different, and if we have the fire chief's support and support of the company to work with, I'm sure he'd work with others as well, but kind of multiple things in mind: budget, familiarity, other things in the Midwest, and then a response time for service. I'm leaning hard towards West Shore Services, and I've done a lot of research.
So is there federal money that we can get to support?
Well, no, not from what I found. There's I've done some research on that. I filled out some applications at the township board level for a grant, and what happened was there was earthquake opportunities with partial funding, and somehow the grants have missed the boat on the sirens. So as far as DDA grants for that, I have not been able to locate one as well, but I'm not sure if you implement one, if you can,
I know they've got these spaced now, if we got all of them as a township, and they kind of know where they need to be so that they can be heard.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah. Is there anyone that sits on the outskirts of the borders of our DDA that could be moved a half mile or a quarter of a mile so that it could be put inside?
That's what we're talking about. We'd put one right here at the park.
No, I know that, but is there another one, like say way down here at the very east end of the DDA?
Moving the sirens isn't a good idea. West Shore Services did a sound study, and moving them even 10 feet could disrupt the whole sound study.
That's basic, could it be moved a half a mile or a quarter mile and still?
They strongly recommend against that.
Okay.
And then the other point is that siren is already mapped to cover the 6x6 of miles for the square miles for the township.
Yep.
And so that siren's already mapped to be there. That siren just happens to be in our district. And if we inherited that siren, then the implementation of the rest of the sirens would be good. Now, if we wanted to try to take another siren and squeeze it within the DDA district and have 2 of them, I just don't think we're funded enough to be able to do that. And I think starting with 1 is, for our budget, is a stretch, but at some point, we need to do something and start getting things built, and so you can hear them, you could hear the siren, you could see the siren, and you could walk up and you could touch the pole. So, I mean, it is showing the community that we are here to serve the community, and we are investing into assets that are tangible and that have a useful years of life.
Sure. Well, it's a way to get the cart moving too. You know, it takes 1 kick to get that cart really rolling downhill. And maybe this is it. We put the 1 in, everybody else starts chipping in to get the rest of the sirens too.
Yeah, and then just as another kind of idea of like getting the wheels on the bus going here is, I'm working on a quote for the shoreline for the township hall. And since it's in our DDA district, we could get possibly a grant to, do some erosion management and some shoreline preservation, as well as along with it, you know, aesthetically pleasing from the bridge, from the park, and Township Hall is in the DDA, and so that could be another torch with a candle on it that we could carry to keep kind of pushing the outdoor theme and working around the river and doing things like that. But in regards to the sirens, I think that this would be a good first step.
I'm convinced already. I think Secretary Knight and Supervisor have done a fantastic job of their homework.
Yeah, if anyone has any other questions, I'll get into the quote and the numbers and the money. So, Commissioner?
I don't have a comment. I think it's commendable what you and William have done. I do have just I guess 4 comments, and you maybe have already taken care of these, and I missed it, or if not, I'll throw it out, and it might be worth considering. Number 1 is, are you planning, I'm jumping forward and saying you got the 1 siren somewhere in the DDA. Are you considering monthly or weekly testing of that siren? Because you could use that not only as, you could use it a bit as a promotional device.
Right.
You know, if the first Saturday of every month, which I think is generally when people do this sort of thing.
Sure.
You know, the first time you do it, all hell's gonna break loose. People are gonna wonder what's going on. But you can say, that's the DDA siren being tested.
Yeah.
And if you can hear it and you're outdoors, that's good.
Yeah.
Probably you're in the DDA.
Yeah.
Well, I think Commissioner and I and Mr. Tim, we're seniors. We remember those days when we were young, that they tested the siren on a Saturday, and we didn't panic. We knew what it was. It was a test. So I don't think.
And that testing, I think, still does go on at the state or federal level.
Yeah, and I believe, Commissioner, that being that we would have the 2-way activation in the encoder, we would likely probably have testing through the county dispatch when they would set their standards and how they would do that. But then if we had our own policy and standards, we could say it's Saturday morning, wake up for coffee. Or we could do it at, you know, hey, it's Saturday, it's time for lunch.
Don't panic.
And once a month or
What the
something.
hell is that?
Yeah, bring,
Don't
you know,
panic.
welcome to the community and bring back old memories of how things used to be done. I can tell you 100% and greater that sirens are not a thing of the past. I heard that so many times.
Wow.
And through my research, they're still building them. And in fact, we had some questions with the fire chief. He had really good questions to help us out. Can't quite button that stuff up just because they are so busy installing sirens right now that they can't quite get back to us for this meeting because they're out and about in the field building sirens. So if sirens were a thing of the past, I don't know what explains that they're still building them. And so I strongly disagree with sirens are a thing of the past. And I think people are starting to see, hey, perhaps maybe we got rid of them and maybe we shouldn't have. I've heard that comment from some municipalities as well.
Well, I'm not sure I followed everything you were talking about the different layers and whatever, making sure that the fire department or somebody, some group maybe of people would have the capability of activating the siren. And I'm reminded, I had a granddaughter at Michigan State when the mass shooter was roaming the campus. And they had a system whereby everybody in Michigan State's community should have received a notice on their cell phone like that. Well, the person that knew how to activate that was gone for the day. And it took them, I don't know, 30 minutes to get a hold of them and say, how the hell do you turn this thing on? And, you know, nobody wound up being killed or injured as a result of that, but it was a big gap in their ability to do it, even though they had everything in place. So I would caution to make sure that, you know, you have somebody there at all times that can throw the switch and boom.
And I think that helps us with the two-way encoder, is that it's got ability for the county dispatch level and our fire department, whoever gets there first. So I think that instead of being like a single point of failure, I think that we're layering that. You know, obviously, you know, we're talking about one siren. So, you know, with one siren, there's a single point of failure right there in and of itself. You're always going to be able to pick it apart if you will. But for an activation standpoint of just talking in terms of making it attempt to be activated, you have two ways to do
I
it.
have two other comments I'd like to get into the equation. And one is a possibility of announcing that, you know, this is a plan. That's what it ultimately would be like. And each of them costs, I'm making the number up because I've got a smaller number, 30,000 each. Let's do some fundraising and go knock on doors and say, you've got a stake in this, and see if somebody maybe like Winky or, you know, some of the big businesses in the local community don't say, well, damn, that's worthwhile for us to be involved. And, you know, if it means every post that has a siren on top has a plaque announcing who paid for it, so be it, you know. I have nothing against commercialization to that extent.
Make Comstock loud again.
There you go.
Oh, I like that. And the last thing, and I'll shut up, is the Office of Emergency Management at the county had, and I think your fire chief took advantage of it, Midland alert radios available gratis. I got one from Pavilion, and I don't know if they're sitting on top of a whole truckload of these things or whatever, but that might be something to sort of fill in a little bit to people that may not hear well or maybe don't get outdoors much. And
Yeah, my deputy was able to get them from the supervisor's meeting, and then he was able to give them to who he thought was best to be able to. And it's kind of like that, you know, the sirens, your phone, the television, your computer. It's this multiple layers of,
Yes, exactly.
of tools in the toolbox that you can have in the instance that you need it.
And I can attest that even without my hearing aids in at night, this Midland radio that I didn't do the programming, I think I probably could have, although William may question my ability to do anything technologically. It worked like the dickens. I mean, I don't remember when it first went off, but it was during a tornado warning somewhere in the county. And it doesn't do anything more precise than that, but that's enough.
Right.
And it awakened me out of a sound sleep, and I sat up in bed like, what was going on? And I could hear it from across the room, and said, oh, that's the radio, and they're talking about a tornado warning in the county somewhere.
Yeah.
That's when I got the TV on and decided, well, where is it? If it's up in Climax Township or Gull Lake, I don't care.
Yeah.
Can I ask one more question?
Yes, Larry. Mr.
We
Rapp.
discussed multiple tones. Let me ask, by multiple tones, are we talking the actual tone, or is that a difference in the,
That would
like
be a different
versus-
manufacturer though.
burst versus a wail, or,
Yep, but those were through different manufacturers other than West Shore.
so West Shore is just a straight wail?
I'm pretty sure, right?
No,
Are
they
these-
have multiple different kinds of siren actual siren that they use
And
that
is that a-
provide different tones.
Is that a stationary
It's-
siren? or
they have
I get a
stationary and then they
different
have-
tone from the one, it's actually in Portage on the very east edge, and it rotates around, and therefore the tone that I hear probably 2.5 or 3 miles away is different because of the rotation. I think it's doing the same sound. It's just that when it's going the other way.
From what I
it sounds
understood,
different.
when I was speaking with West Shore Services in the past, they had the availability to do different kinds of sirens. And ones that would have tone, ones that could have sound, like a voice sound, or they can just do the general one-tone siren.
I see, I thought when we were doing the quotes, the ones that had the voice activation and that
We
thing,
didn't get a quote for that.
those were through some of the other vendors that were a little bit more sophisticated. I mean, we got some quotes that were more than double of, their level of sophistication may have been necessary for a true war zone or something. I mean, it was quite extensive.
But that's a question we could bring to Jeff and ask him if these sirens can do different tones or if it's just one tone.
And I think I'm leaning more towards, for the DDA, with this quote, this was a simple line of sirens, and whether or not they can do multiple tones, that would be great, but I don't know that, that's what my comment was earlier. I don't think we should venture too far from
Right.
getting too carried away, because it's
Stick with
gonna
the
spend
basic.
more money. And now if we get, for this entry-level siren, multiple tones, so be it, but I don't know that we've got the money to spend to,
I think just getting a tornado siren up is the big thing, we just get one up and then, I mean, everything's software. Right, everything, just through software, correct, for tones and all that
No,
stuff?
no.
No? So we just need one.
Stick with the basics.
Yeah.
We can go on.
6 miles, basically, it's a 6-mile radius.
we need 10 in order to cover all 6 square mile, 30.
So I'm just saying, like, how
This is
loud is one of these gonna cover?
Right. 80 decibels shows you
Oh,
how
okay.
far it gets. It's about a quarter mile, is pretty much.
Okay.
But that's at their, hearing it well.
Yeah.
Right.
But you could still,
You'll be able to,
we could hear them, I could hear them from my place when they were sounding them in Kalamazoo.
Right.
And I can,
So
The one here is gonna, it's gonna let people know.
you're gonna go,
Everybody's in this downtown area.
and as far as we're concerned, our obligation and our concern, should be the DDA.
yeah.
I agree.
And we're gonna really light the DDA up pretty well. So getting into it, we have priority 1, install a new federal signal, a 2001 AC/DC, and a lot of people talk about, hey, what happened if we lose power? It's got a battery backup, and it can last for X amount of minutes. Electromechanical battery backed up siren with a 2-way digital status monitoring in the location at 5819 Comstock. The cost to complete this priority is $27,900, holding pricing 2024 until July 2026. So they have been being more than patient and gracious with us to help us hold some pricing. So from the previous work that William started that I've been working on, we were able to hold some pricing, and he would honor that for the DDA. The 2-way digital control equipment. In addition to the equipment required at each remote siren site, the following equipment will be required to activate and monitor status of your digital 2-way system. This includes the installation of a S2000 encoder decoder system programming and training. The total cost to furnish, deliver, and install this equipment, including training your staff, is $7,880. Note, as previously discussed, we recommend utilizing a fire department non-emergency frequency to activate and monitor the system. There may be some FCC license modifications required. If you move forward with implementing the installation of the system, we will work with you to assure that your FCCC license is correct. Note number 2, you will need a single channel base station radio antenna cable dedicated to the community alert notification system. The estimated cost to add this equipment, if it is not currently available, is approximately $1,500 to $1,800. We will provide a comprehensive review of the control point location to accurately identify any costs that may be required for system implementation. Digital commander software, in addition to the encoder, in order to allow monitoring for the township's 3 fire stations, the digital commander software program will be required to activate, monitor, and maintain your system. This would be the primary method to activate, monitor, and maintain records for your community warning system. The total cost to furnish and install the software, including setup and training for staff, is $4,400. Comstock Township will be responsible providing computer according to the specific specifications outlined in the digital commander software technical sheet to be installed at the primary activation point. West Shore can also provide a standard Dell CPU and flat screen monitor utilized by most of our customers for an additional $2,130. A 911 remote controller, we have included a federal signal controller to integrate with the township's control point to allow remote activation of the system. The cost for this controller, including integration, installation, and programming, is $1,680. Remote siren equipment. I've enclosed information on a AC/DC siren digital two-way status monitoring. The advantages of the 2001 AC/DC are more coverage. So the coverage would be 5,200 feet, a true battery backup, in addition to normal AC operation, which will allow the unit to work under a power outage, less maintenance overall, more cost-effective unit due to the size and area being covered. And the siren head carries a full 5-year warranty, including field replacement. Siren head control cabinet and transformer are all constructed out of aluminum. The following equipment is included with the federal 2001 AC/DC digital two-way unit: a siren and a two-way siren control, a field programmable radio receiver decoder and timer, AC power option, 4-hour maintenance-free marine-style batteries, 4 maintenance-free marine-style batteries, an antenna, battery warmers, CTCSS, delivery and installation of a 50-foot Class 2 pole, including service entrance for overhead electrical hookup. The federal 2001 AC/DC unit has been a very popular unit. We have sold approximately 2,200 of these units in the state of Michigan in the last 36 years. This unit is very reliable, and you will see very little annual maintenance associated with this digital two-way system. The power requirements for the federal 2001 AC/DC are single-phase 120 240-volt AC. If the unit is operating from AC power, the draw will be approximately 30 amps. During the rest of the time when the unit is not operating, it will require 4 to 6 amps to run the battery, chargers, and radio. West Shore Service is the exclusive representative for federal warning systems in the state of Michigan. All service technicians are factory trained. Our service staff has over 230 years of combined experience installing and repairing outdoor warning equipment. Units will be furnished, delivered, and installed by a single source company. West Shore Services will provide all warranty and regular service. Few other suppliers can provide Comstock Township with this total capability. And then it talks about FCC licensing, which I don't believe that we would need that, but that would be an additional $600. And then the summary, this is a turnkey proposal with no divided responsibility. West Shore Services will be responsible for installing all the remote warning sites, including delivery, installation, and testing of equipment after installation. West Shore will also be responsible for working with the township to select the control point location and providing all the necessary control point equipment to activate and monitor the township's new community alert notification system. Thank you for the opportunity to work on your outdoor warning needs. If you have any questions or need additional information, please feel free to give me a call. And that was from Luke Miller, the Director of Operations. So there's a couple things that the fire chief wants to work on and hasn't got complete answers to all the questions. And most of those were kind of directed towards maybe seeing if some of this stuff may not be needed if we already have. I think some of the language in this estimate already indicates, you know, like this line item says the estimated cost to add this equipment if it is currently not available is approximately. So, you know, what we would have to decide as a board is, do we want to seek other alternative quotes from other vendors? And do we want to wait to get further information? Or do we want to start picking some of these high numbers, add them all up, and then take action and get the wheels on the bus going? My recommendation is that West Shore Services, I just don't think that, I don't think there's anybody better to do this from my research that I've found.
Take more.
So the fire chief, I'm sorry, the fire chief, he would know, he would understand this, the statements here that he can support or help in some kind of way to make this possible, fire chief?
We have the full support of the fire chief. He's working on helping us.
Okay.
Obviously, it's from our DDA funding. You know, there's no expenditure from the fire department on this.
Has any contact been made with Jeff Troyer or his staff at the county emergency, not emergency?
Yep, I've talked with him.
What, the Kalamazoo County, he's the guy that throws the
Emergency
switch when
management.
big things happen.
Emergency management.
Yep, I've talked with him, and
That's not emergency management.
they're also familiar with Kalamazoo, Portage. They're familiar with West Shore Services as well, and that's part of that county digital activation would be is that they are familiar with West Shore Services as well. So I think if we're gonna go to a countywide program, we wanna not have an oddball siren company that's not really
That
integrated.
experience with not just Kalamazoo County, but he, I think, worked in Saginaw County and Calhoun County before we were able to steal him away. And if you were to mention West Shore, I'd want to watch his eyes, and if he curls up his nose or something, I'd say, "Ooh, that maybe's not so good." But you make a pretty good case for this. Seems to be the best game in town.
I think so as well. And he's not talking about Jeff Townsend, he's talking about another Jeff.
Troy, yeah.
You say that's compatible with what the rest of the county more or less is using now? And so let's say we decide we want to go with them, and all of a sudden the rest of the township decides they're going to get Sirens and they want to go with another company. How is that going to interact?
Then
To some degree, we need to focus on ourselves here in the DDA. We'll have our own control point, we'll have our own sirens, we'll be compatible with the county, and whatever the township pursues to do, if they don't want to follow the lead on the path that we're laying down, that's their prerogative. But today, I'm here focused on the DDA.
Just want to know, I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
how will this fit in if they decide to go in a different direction?
that's their choice.
yeah,
Okay, all right.
so,
Well,
That'd be a
there's-
pretty nervy choice, I would think.
So I added up all the high numbers to get a total of $44,710. But I think that maybe we should give ourselves a little bit of room. So I guess I'll just do it. I make a motion that,
hold on a second,
okay?
sorry. So,
Maintenance.
there was one thing I wanted to mention. There was a part in here that's for the 3 departments. And we kind of want to comb back over this one more time, because there was one part that mentioned the 3 departments, but then there was one part that mentioned the cost of the flat top or the computer. And so we just want to look at that one more time to see what I want to get as if we're going to make it beefy and come in under it, we might as well make it plenty enough. That way we can.
That was my goal.
Pretty much what we're gonna do is, if we're gonna decide if this DDA is gonna take action to get a siren and get it done despite some flexibility in here. So the,
And this quote is, or this estimate is only good till the end of July.
correct,
That may change.
yep.
Well, I think,
So the 7,800,
27,900, or,
no, that's pretty well fixed. The 27,900, that's pretty well fixed. The 7,800, let's just comb over that.
7880 for,
Yep, 7,880.
and that was for what?
that was for the
That's the remote siren, the
install.
additional equipment required at each remote siren site. So we're only having one site, so that number is good there.
Yeah, that was good too.
And then,
1,800?
so you will need a single channel base station radio antenna cable dedicated to the community alert notification. The
One
estimated cost-
antenna for all? But we're only still one. So they would piggyback off an antenna if we got it.
Well, here's the thing, is that when I was talking with the fire chief, he mentioned having the program when the sirens get implemented, in the instance that they all get implemented across the township, that all 3 stations would have something. Originally, my scope was the River Street one fire station, closer to here, could possibly house our hardware in order to activate that. But I'm not sure if we want to make sure that our motion, in the instance the chief thinks that it's best, that to activate this siren down here could be done from any fire station. Depending on, say for example, River Street's busy at a highway accident and there's no staff to do it. So that's why,
The MSU situation again, whoever could throw the switch was somewhere else.
So then that particular number could possibly triple that 1,800, because they would need antennas at each location. But don't they already have an antenna that would be compatible at the
Perhaps.
fire station?
so, and they may have that in West Shore Services. We've just caught West Shore Services at a very busy time, and we have a very narrow window. So we just want to think about that. And then the other is the encoder to allow monitoring for the 3 fire stations. The commander program will be required to activate, monitor, and maintain. So this one, for this 4,400, mentions 3 stations. So I think this number, once again, is fixed. Remote controller, we have included a controller to integrate into the township's control point and allow remote activation system from the county 911. The cost for this controller, including integration, installation, and programming, is $1,680. So that would be something, if it's just one controller,
Right.
do we just have it at the River Street location and that's the one, or do we,
It says it would be installed at the primary activation point.
where's it?
Well, if we make that our primary, but they would still have to be able to communicate between the 3 stations in that instance that there was nobody there.
So I think that there's only 2, and then there's the one more, that's the,
2130.
where's that? That's the computer?
That was just above the encoder.
But we could also look into what kind of computer they need and maybe get one that's not $2,100
Yeah.
if it's up to spec.
obviously, when you do construction and you build things, you're gonna find out. And I don't think that, so West Shore can also provide a standard Dell CPU and flat screen monitor utilized by most of our customers for an additional $21.30.
Yep.
And so perhaps, I just want to be respectful of the fire chief in the instance that he's going to give us the opportunity to be at the fire station. If he wants one at all three, maybe tonight's motion could be we get it set up for one, like one computer. But then in the instance, he's like, hey guys, I want to support you on this, but I really need you to have a monitor. We maybe need to come back and revisit, kind of set this thing up for continuous improvement perhaps.
I would think
Well, you
so.
would be looking at, if you had to triple 2 or 3 of these, up to about almost $10,000 more. Especially if the one was 1,800, the encoder is 1,700, you might as well say. And if you need a monitor at every place, even if it isn't for 2,100, it's still gonna be another 1,800 each spot. So that's.
I think we should, there's a lot of homework was done on this, and it sounds good to me. I think we should just stick with this, with you and William's plan on moving forward with it, and come back and vote upon it. I don't think we need to be shifting and jumping and moving to other places. I think we should be able to make this happen.
Yeah, so why don't we just take a look real quick on our motion?
Right.
If we just go ahead and triple a couple of these numbers and see what can you do that, William? Can you triple the computer?
You're looking right around 55,000.
Let's just, while we're here, we're at bat, let's cross our Ts, dot our Is,
Yeah.
and we're swinging for the fences here to make sure one siren gets put in Comstock Township, and if the fire department needs the support of having 3 of them, I guess that's what we're pledging to do. But if not, then we're gonna come in well under it, but I think we're better off to not, if we don't have our numbers right and the motion's not right, we're better off just to wait. But if we can do this and take a couple more minutes, that's what I'd recommend.
Just the computer tripled, what other one do we need to triple?
A remote controller,
1,800 and then a 1,680. And that should actually slightly over 10 grand.
so we're gonna triple the Dell CPU, we're gonna triple the controller, and we're gonna triple, the
antenna and stuff.
That comes to a total of $57,610.
that I think, and then if you were thinking to put a little pad on that,
I was thinking 60. Not more than 60.
Yeah.
and if we lose one of those items that we don't have to have, we can get a siren going.
That way we could tell them to go ahead and get started. We'll still fall underneath that July because we're hitting July now.
Yeah, we're in July now.
County Commissioner, you had some.
I make a motion that we approve the purchase of a an emergency siren for no more than $60,000
From?
County Commissioner,
from West Shore Services.
I'll second it.
the County Commissioner had a
I
question.
have a comment,
No, go ahead.
relying on old information, but I think it's still valid here. Rather than nitpicking, should it be a Dell or should it be a
Right.
Lenovo or whatever? If these
Right.
guys say this is how it has been successfully implemented elsewhere, let's not be like the roofer that says, well, somebody's gonna put on the sheathing, then the other is gonna put
Right.
on the rubberized stuff, and then somebody else is gonna do the shingles. And then the first time something leaks, they all go, oh, it must be his fault. Let's
Speak with
package it up nicely, and if
Yeah.
it costs a tad extra, who cares at this point? Let's get it done and let it be the stalking horse for everything else going on. And when it works well for the first year and a half, whatever, then I think it'll be a lot easier to ask people to cough up some funds to do it again in other locations within the township.
Thank you.
And by all means, talk with, if you haven't talked with county's OEM, Brandy and Casey, I would hope, and I'll be happy to interface with them, I would hope they know where there's money sitting around that maybe could do this.
Exactly.
Well, we're talking to our county commissioner right here. Will you go find it for us?
It won't be county money, but I'm thinking back, and this goes back way back when, you know,
State
there's an
federal.
underground railroad house in Schoolcraft, Michigan, the village. And I went down there because it was part of my district at that point, and they needed to do a whole lot of incidental repairs, but it was gonna be a total of $25,000. They were gonna paint, they were gonna reshingle, they were gonna do some stuff, and that'll tell you, 25 grand back, this is in 2010 or 2011, something like that. And I wrote a note to Brant Iden, who came in as a county commissioner the same time I did, but he'd already moved on to Lansing. And I said, Brant, you know, this is gonna take 25 grand and Schoolcraft Village wants to raise the money. Is there anything that can happen at the county level or at the state level? And his comment to me is still ringing in my ear was, John, there's $25,000 in so many different piles sitting in Lansing. He said, you need to just write us a good rendition of what it'll be used for. And he said, I guarantee you, it'll fall out of the sky. And it did. And I thought, damn, you know, they're just sitting there with money out the wazoo in Lansing. Now, that was Brant. I don't know if we could get the same attention from Matt Hall. Might very well be able to, but there is funding out there somewhere, and this certainly seems like one hell of a worthwhile effort. Who wouldn't want to go out and talk about, hey, we helped install security
Safety.
and warning systems in Comstock.
What is the supervisor? Do you mind sending a letter?
Yeah, I'd be glad. I've been trying. I've talked to emergency management in both our county and other counties. As far as the discussion, we got a motion and we got support. And I would recommend when we get to it, we should do a roll call vote on it after everybody's had an opportunity for discussion. I think likely we've padded this pretty well. The idea was not to go back to the drawing board by just taking a couple minutes extra to kind of triple some numbers. Hopefully we might even find out that we're able to save on some of these and we don't need triple of something that we factored. But regardless, I believe what I'm hearing here is that we have a consensus. Hopefully, when we come through a roll call vote, that we want at least one siren in downtown Comstock, which we're responsible for. And I'm all in favor, I'm excited, and I would be glad to facilitate and manage and help oversee the construction, and be the point of contact and be responsible for making sure this thing gets up.
So we're looking for a motion for a roll call vote, or?
We got a motion, we got support. I think we just need to give everybody one last discussion point and we'll roll call it out.
Okay.
Did we discuss it? Is there any kind of
Mike,
maintenance? Oh, I'm sorry.
there is annual maintenance. and
There
they
is
said-
an annual maintenance?
They said it was like $1,300 a year.
Okay.
It's not very much.
And that would apply only to the single siren.
Only
not
to the single siren, we wouldn't.
anything else.
Okay.
No, it's just to the siren.
Okay.
Mainstream Tackle Outdoors would cover that cost.
All right,
Because being in here, we would cover that cost.
okay.
1,300, giving the hard numbers, I would, 1,300 a year, 1,500 a year, we would cover that cost on that, especially being that we're right here. So
Yeah.
being that we're the ones on the water, you know, that thing goes off, I know exactly what to do. I need to get people off the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what we got with that padding, with that motion is some buffer. And if community members decide to step up and want to help, I think that even gives us a further buffer and a validation. So, Mr. Rabbit, was that your
was
comment?
my only
I've said enough. Mr. Chair, do you have anything for us?
No, I have none.
And then,
I'm through.
Well,
Matt, you have anything for us?
No, this is all good, all good. I think everything's,
I'm ready to roll.
William, you want to do a roll call for us?
Sure. From the name page.
He's putting on his secretary's hat.
Chair Townsend,
Yes.
Keith Witzer not here. Supervisor Martin,
Yes.
William Knight, yes. Commissioner Gisler,
Yes.
Member Rabbit,
Yes.
Member Elliott,
Yes.
Member Shally, and Member Nannon are not here. So we have a 5 yes, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 yes. Motion passes.
Congratulations, guys.
Right.
Thank you, Mr.
Good
Chair.
job. One new business. Summer Community DDA Cleanup Day.
Okay, so Mr. Chair, I know last year we had a spring cleanup, but with the turnaround of the board this year, that was overlooked and was never done. So this is kind of more just an idea. Maybe we can try to start working on a summer cleanup for the DDA area. What we did last year is we just had a group of people, and it was only like 4. We just clean up the park, clean up the side streets down here, go down, do the whole area of the DDA, and just go through, pick up trash. And then we take it all to the transfer center after.
Yeah.
We don't provide any beverages or nothing, it's just,
Just cleanup.
it's just
I
clean.
think I was a part of that cleanup. And I think we took areas of the downtown area.
Last year, I know that it was me, the previous director, the chair, and her husband, and that was the only people that were cleaning.
Okay. Yeah, some years back, we took a section of the.
But I
downtown.
think that should be something that we could keep going,
Will
because it just shows that we're invested and want to keep our downtown development area clean and presentable. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up for thought. We can bring it up another time at the next meeting and discuss it more, but I would like to see maybe that come forward again and talk about.
So how soon you want to put that together? I think if we could vote now, if we want to, and just use what we got.
I'd like to do some brainstorming, maybe
Okay.
link up with the Parks Department and see if maybe they want to do a joint event, or maybe even the VFW might want to join in and do
Sure.
a cleanup event, because they can get the community service in and everything. So, I don't know, I'd just like to do some more research. When putting the agenda together, I remembered it, and I was like, this is probably something we should talk about.
I like some of the things you just said that would involve other people besides
Sure.
DDA people per
Yeah.
se. I think there was a tendency in the previous board to assume that it all had to be done by DDA board members or and Steve. And, that doesn't get a whole lot of folks excited, but if you
No,
see
we're all
somebody out
volunteer.
doing something with the VFW or somebody else from some other group, and there are probably all kinds of groups that would love to participate, maybe only for a couple of hours. You don't have to
Sure.
commit for the whole day or anything like that. Then all of a sudden you can make sure you get a lot of pictures and use that to promote in some kind of a newsletter showing, hey, if the place looks a little cleaner than it did before, this is why. You got some neighbors that are out there doing some things that are right for Comstock.
I would, I'll give this a try. I make a motion to approve a summer community DDA cleanup and authorize William Knight to do some further homework, research, collaboration, and get this scheduled.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion passes.
Could I add something in here? Kind of goes on the same realm. Last year, we had the discussion about the 4 banks around the bridge. And when we decided that we didn't see why the DDA was paying the money to get it cleaned up when it was county property, do we need to go to that and make sure it's done, or is that just gonna get taken care of now?
I'm not understanding.
I don't remember.
Last year, we voted not to pay the $900 for taking care of the 4 corners of the bridge.
Couldn't we just get that done while we're doing the summer cleanup? Like,
Well,
start at
it's-
the bridge
It's
and,
it's county property. And when we went to the county, it was taken care of almost immediately.
So is there a problem now with it?
No, do we need to readdress that with the county, or is that going to get,
If
I
it's
think
not
if it's-
messed up right
right.
now, I think it's
If
good.
it's fine, they
it's
took,
not time to spray though, to keep the weeds down, so they don't get out of hand?
Was it the road commission or?
Yes.
Well, we can reach out to the road commission and see what they say.
yeah, that's their project. I think we should, let the road commission deal with it. And if there is a problem, we just give them a call. 381, I ain't gonna give you the number. But I know-
Just wondering.
number 10.
Okay, moving on to, the National Night Out.
All right, so I reached out, I looked at our DDA website, and in the newsletter for for winter, it showed the National Night Out. And that is, I believe, August 4th from 6 to 8 p.m. here in Merrill Park. And I reached out to the Parks Department to get some information on it because I didn't know anything about it. Apparently, what she said is in the past that the DDA has provided roughly 100 hot dogs for the National Night Out to support the event. And then we are usually down there with a table and just kind of talking about what the DDA is doing, what we've done, stuff like that, just a kind of a community involvement thing. So we kind of didn't have anything planned for it, and this is the last meeting before, it's only a few days, our next meeting is only a few days before this event, so I figured I'd bring it to this meeting and try to get the approval for the hot dog so we can get that purchased and start getting stuff prepared for that night.
Is there any discussion on this?
Are you aware that, I think August 4 is primary day?
It might not be
It's a
August.
Tuesday, first Tuesday in August. I think that's when all the
August 4th was Saturday.
Is it on Saturday?
political parties will be doing their thing. That could be good, but it also might not be good.
Wonder how we're gonna cook those hot dogs.
Yeah, it is August 4th.
Wow. Were they already cooked?
I think there's grills down there.
Yeah, there's grills down
So we would be, that's what I'm saying, we'd be cooking them
Mm-hmm,
as the DDA?
mm-hmm.
Okay. Giving them away, so you're not selling them, so you're a little less regulatory. So,
So we're gonna have hot dogs, buns, ketchup,
Mustard, onion.
mustard, onions,
And probably waters.
and more.
relish.
But,
Wow.
I got a reference from, what's his name? Lieutenant Brian McLean from the Kalamazoo County Sheriff's Department, and he said roughly it's about 100 people, so about 100 hot dogs.
Okay.
so do you have a budget in mind you're looking for approval for?
I have no idea how much hot dogs cost.
Buns, ketchup, mustard, trip to the grocery store adds up pretty quick.
It's about $300.
Probably more with buns and relish.
Give me a budget of 500 to work with.
Unless we ask one of the stores to donate it.
But here's where I want to also talk with the Parks Department. Did they provide some of that money? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, one of those things where I think if it's, National Night Out, you want to support the community, shoot high and come in low and see what happens.
Yeah.
I agree.
Then maybe we can ask one of the, like Sam's
I think
Club,
you
they
could,
might
you
donate.
could, yeah, you could probably pull it off for less than $500.
And the point that Jeffrey just made, it's something that I've thought often while Deisler was sort of in the daddy chair here. He seemed to want to limit everything to Comstock per se when it came to things like where the hot dogs come from.
Yeah.
I don't know for a fact that Costco or Sam's Club that does hot dogs and a drink for $1.50 would like to participate. Maybe if they didn't give them to us, maybe they'd sell them to us for $1.50 and put them in a heat, retaining device. But there's no reason that we can't try to achieve involvement from people outside of Comstock. I
Sure.
always thought that was a little kind of narrow
I agree. I think if we show initiative that we're willing to help ourselves serve the community and we give ourselves a budget, maybe we don't even have to spend a dollar. Maybe some good Samaritan might step up and say, I see you guys and then I'm willing to help and I got your hot dogs and your buns taken care of. So but we set sail to do that, I think. So I make a motion to approve a national night out for an expenditure for the DDA not to exceed $500.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion passes. Also, William, maybe you can call and tell them representing the board for those hot dogs.
Commissioner, did you get in on that one for us?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you vote on that?
I'm sorry?
Did he?
I think he did.
He did, yeah.
You voted on that, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I just was taking notes.
Oh, okay. No, I definitely was in favor of that.
Oh, bills that were paid.
We only had one bill this past month, and it was MoCo.
Okay, I see that, yeah. Well, DDA, budget,
So we made the budget adjustment to remove the line item for the previous DDA director. So now you can see that's referenced we have a lot lower salaries, and there's no salaries and wages line item anymore. It's deleted. So that budget went back to our fund balance. And our beginning balance was our beginning and ending balance are actually the same. It didn't fluctuate. Only said the $720 for the MoCo. That's it.
great job,
Pretty easy month.
easy, yep.
And then I would like to address the letter from our CFO. Now he's part-time helping the township, and he was able to give us a letter to explain something that that will help address what was going on with the DDA to the DDA board. This letter is to provide an explanation of the budget adjustment for account 692, appropriated use of the fund balance. And on the back of this letter, you'll see the spreadsheet. In the budget, revenue items should represent new money to be received. Number one, captured taxes. Money captured by the DDA from property taxes paid by DDA parcels. Number two, interest income, interest earned on deposits. And number three, contributions and donations, local grants and donations. The appropriated use of the fund balance line represents money that you already have, so it should not be included in revenue. The former DDA director asked me to add the line item in yellow, and I really want you guys to see this chart on the back of this letter. It's page 25 in the back of it, so it'd be page 26.
It's on the screen in front of you as well.
Is that the new one that you sent?
Yep.
Here.
So William, if you'll do a little hovering on the mouse. All right, so the appropriated use of the fund balance line represents money you already have, so it should not be included in revenue. The former DDA director asked me to add the line item yellow so that the revenues would appear to equal expenditures green, which I protested. In this scenario, however, the report, the fund balance does not change, gray, which is inaccurate. And in reality, fund balance should show $57,000 lower at the end of the year because you are already spending it down. After removing the DDA's director's salary and payroll taxes from the budget, if everything is collected and spent as well planned, the actual numbers will look like the projected columns. As you can see, nothing will be collected in account 692 purple, whether you make the budget adjustment or not. Expenses will be more than revenues, red, and fund balance will be reduced, which was planned. As I tried to explain to the director, in fund accounting, a balanced budget does not mean revenues equal expenditures. As long as revenues minus expenditures plus fund balance is greater than zero, then the budget is balanced. The bottom line is removing the appropriated fund balance line will more accurately represent the current budget. It does not remove any actual revenue change what you can spend, or affect what your fund balance will be at the end of the year. So by looking at this $57,000 in here and seeing what it would do to our projections, it makes a difference. And I'm not sure why we were doing that, but it's misleading. And so that has been addressed. So, William, do you have anything to add to that?
We do need to make a motion to correct that, because we stopped it at the township board, and they're not moving forward on, they're gonna let us do it. So we need to make this a motion to get rid of that tonight, if possible.
I make a motion to authorize the township board to make the budget adjustment for account 692 and to read the June 13th, 2026 letter to the DDA board at the township board meeting, which explains the budget adjustment.
Second.
Second by Secretary. No. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
None. Commissioner,
He voted.
did you vote?
Yeah.
Motion passes.
And then between William and I'll bring it forth at the township board at the next meeting. And if anybody can help remind me in the instance that you don't see that on there, I'd be glad to get that on there, but I'll do my best.
I'll remind you.
All right.
I see a signature on this, because this is from Brett.
That was from Brett.
Super. Good explanation.
So it
So we are
doesn't change any
moving on to,
reality.
forgot where was that on? Is this approval of the 20? But the board member comments. It was a fun meeting. Any comments
Yeah,
from?
I do. I just want to remind everybody that tomorrow night, 5 to 7 at KVCC, there will be a battery energy storage system panel discussion along with a data center discussion.
Where?
The 5 people, 2 of them are honchos in the energy system at
KVCC.
University of Michigan, and it's open for everybody.
What time, Commissioner?
5 to 7. It's
And what location of
it's at
KVCC?
KVCC's Texas Township location in the Lake Auditorium. I've never been there, but I understand it's a beautiful place and has seats over 400 people. So anybody that wants to go should get there and they can get it firsthand. I'm certain that it'll be recorded, so a week later or so, it'll be possible to see the whole thing online. But I'm planning on being there, and hopefully I'll get there early enough I can sit in the front row so I don't need to worry about my hearing aids.
And that's on what day?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Wow.
Oh. Yeah, 25th.
Well, any other comments?
I'd like to just take the time to, Mr. Knight and Mr. Martin, thanks so much for all you guys' work you guys did for the Siren.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it. I feel that's very, very important to this community, and that we really needed it. And it sounds like Mr. Knight's been working on it for a while, so I really appreciate what you guys did, taking the lead on that and doing that, because I feel that's very important to us.
Well said, man.
So thank you guys so much for what you guys did.
Yeah, he speaks for all of us. Well,
I would, the police discussion, kind of back to what Mr. Kearney said, and I wrote a note. Did you have a question, or was it Mr. Kearney about the police discussion?
Mr. Kearney.
Does anybody remember his particular question?
About, well,
More
he was
patrols.
talking about.
more patrols.
More patrols because of the homeless
Yeah,
and the things that go on, and I could attest to what he was talking about. I used to have a trailer parked over there, and they would sleep, and they would get undressed and dress, and they would be right there in front of God and everybody, you know, and they didn't.
yeah.
And I can understand what he's talking about. There are problems over there.
I received a couple complaints about somebody being in the bus station in the DDA area but our ordinance officer didn't really have the jurisdiction to really do anything. And if somebody's in there for a prolonged amount of time, they were just in there, so some people
Well, they sleep in
weren't
there
too
overnight.
happy about it, but that was a little bit of a, our hands were tied to some degree on that. I can request an email for a little bit more directed patrols in the DDA area due to the parks and summertime activity, so I can do that, but we just have one deputy on for Comstock Township, so our hands,
Someone open the door. He's locked out.
yep, will someone open the door for Mr. Kearney?
Did the township talk about, back here a while ago, about a possible township officer?
Something back there.
Yeah, I think when he left, something
He probably
happened.
got locked out
Well, I think you're gonna have,
versus the county.
Well, the door's not locked, but one of them's sticking. Something's happening with the button.
Or was that, or did that not happen?
Pardon me,
Wasn't there a discussion at one point in time about the township having its own police department?
yeah, I think that might be a conversation for another day.
But I'm just,
That's a,
I know that's a big discussion, but
yeah, that's a whole different
Is that-
can of worms.
yeah.
versus security.
Yeah, I think we should make that an agenda item at the township board to discuss. But my other comment was a grant. I'm seeking to find information on a grant from the township engineer that they could help facilitate, just as they're doing the shoreline, they're they're seeking a grant to redo all the bricks on the shoreline of the park, and maybe a dock and a kayak launch at the park. And there's a grant that they're seeking for that, to do riprap along the edge. And so I would like to seek the same grant for the DDA to do that for the shoreline for this side of the township hall. And then so we could run a parallel possibly that they would spruce both places up. And then Mr. Kearney, I mentioned I'll send an email to the sheriff's department to ask, just due to activity in the park in the downtown area for summertime, if we could get a little bit more directed patrol in the DDA area, to some extent with just one officer. It's likely hard to do, but it's worth a try. So I'll make sure to do that tomorrow. And that's all I have. But other than that, the last thing is I'm super excited about the Siren. That's pretty cool. It's good to see us get stuff done. It's good to see us spend money. And you know what? If we spend some money, we just got to figure out how to make some more of it. And I think that will, that kind of get you some initiative to, all right, well, we just took some action. Now we're moving forward, but now we got to kind of replenish and seek. And I'd like to make that a goal of our DDA is now we've got, we've really got some work to do to get some business in downtown Comstock and grow our TIF.
Can you back up and give me a chance to put another oar in the water? I work on word association, and somebody said something that triggered a thought or two in this feeble old brain. And one was, when you're talking about this side of the river and the other side of the river where the park is, I got shot down big time because John, the insurance guy that's right out here on the Michigan Avenue, he said, oh, good God, don't go there. I was thinking that during the Summerfest or Fall Fest or whatever, wouldn't it be cool? You don't have enough parking in the park area. Use the parking over here and have, I thought it'd be cool to have a zip line that ran across the river. And I think they do that somehow in Allegan. Well, they aren't doing it without insurance. But I thought that could be super cool, and you could even do it other than just during festivals. You could do it, I don't know, whenever there's a nice day and people could pay $1 a ride or something. You might be able to make all kinds of money that way. But
Yeah.
that it was shot down real quick, and I just said, well, enough. I'm a bozo. What do I know?
If nothing else, you could have a shuttle.
Well,
Well, and
with Mr. Kearney, he came in, normally he would have some words before we leave? You got about 2 seconds. And we're gonna do.
Your time is up.
I got locked out.
Reason. 2 seconds.
So, the HTM Kearney Foundation would like to pay for your hot dogs. We'll give you $500 tonight.
Oh,
We also will commit up to 10% of the Siren cost.
wow.
Yes, that's
Well
awesome.
done.
Well, that's wonderful. And you know what? This is something that our board have never done, is allow the person to come after they're made a comment, to come back and make a comment. I think we talked about that.
Yeah.
That we like to hear what they have to say after.
Perhaps
board meeting.
we should maybe, before, I don't know how we want to do that, maybe next time, maybe we should make a motion. I don't know if we need a motion to do it, but on this agenda sheet, board member comments, and then maybe you could just put another line item, public comment. We could have a public comment at the beginning and the end.
We do need a motion to do that.
Yeah.
We need to vote
Now,
on that now.
Could we make a motion to amend the agenda to add the motion, to add the public comment?
Not this meeting.
But the
We've already
next
approved the agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've been in a board meeting where the agenda's approved and you make a
I
motion.
mean, I'm down to try it if you're willing to do it.
Okay,
How about this?
Looking for a motion?
I would make a motion that we
we need to amend the agenda.
amend the agenda.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
I make a motion that we add a second public comment before committee comments.
Second.
Repeat that again, before the, you mean after?
It probably should be after, right?
Yeah, it's after.
I agree with that.
Or,
Well, he makes a good point. And if we heard the people speak again, maybe we could address it.
yeah.
I would say before.
But the shoe on the other foot, if we speak, trigger something else that the public might say, oh, okay, that's a good point, well, but what about this?
Hey, there you go. And that leaves us with some
So there's
seats
a
to
shoe on
stew
the
on.
other foot, I mean-
Yeah, there we go. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Okay, what is it?
So Matt made a good point, and does yours match with what Larry said?
It's the same thing, just backwards. I mean, he's saying, do it before we, but I'm saying do it after we talk, have our discussion, because then it might trigger something that,
Yeah, so let us talk and then let them talk.
public comment.
Maybe we answer their question
Public
before they even ask them.
Let me ask you, in the township board meetings, they have a second one, don't they?
Yes, but it's before member comments.
That's kind of why I was, because the member comments, if he makes a secondary comment upon what is relevant to what we've talked about, he's offering to give us, then we can make a comment that would be to the board, but also to him to say thank you.
Well,
If we take a couple minutes to ponder this,
I'm looking for a motion to dismiss.
and I really, so we've made a motion to approve the agenda, and we're hovering around kind of getting here. I do appreciate this is a downtown board, and we're a little bit not too formal, which is fine, because everyday people don't mind being treated like people. And so once again, as we're adding that amendment of, and this is good timing, because he wants to say something.
Well,
And so how do we set something up to where, because when you read that public comment, there's no dialogue back. And our board meetings aren't bulging at the seams here with too many people
So
to
that's
talk
my
to.
comment was, why don't we ask the one guy that shows up to our meetings?
We don't have to necessarily make it an agenda item either. We could just-
No, but how do we address it in our agenda that we, maybe on that public comment one, maybe we do board member comments and public comment, and don't put that line on there where it says board members you'll be talking to a brick wall. like we can have a dialogue up
I
here.
think you should have a dialogue.
Yeah.
Because there's gonna be questions.
So why don't we amended the agenda, why don't we do board member comments and public comments?
I agree.
And so if there's 10 people here, we can kind of facilitate, we can do round robin here and talk, and then let them talk, and then go back. You know, obviously, we all want to be cognizant of not being here all night, but.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so we, then that would allow us to, when somebody does have a question at this point, it would allow us to get off that informality part and engage. So,
Mr. Kearney, have your hands up.
So I can engage?
yeah.
So your point's a good point when there's small crowd, but I think you just did a major step. I think your crowd's gonna get larger and larger. You're the first board to make a positive move in this township in many, many, many months.
Wow.
And so I don't know that you want to open the door that wide. And my preference would be to talk after, and that you guys recognize it in the next meeting. Because I would prefer to come up after you've all discussed, if I'm sitting here back thinking about something like giving you the $500 for the hot dogs, and after your discussion, I'm done. We don't have to have dialogue.
Right.
And then if I say I would like to match up to 10%, hoping that you guys might come in under that 60,000, you know, whatever that is, we don't need to have discussion. It could be mentioned as in the next meeting, as that's a new topic of discussion or whatever you want to do. But I would prefer to come after than prior, because I may have a different thought after you talk.
Sounds good.
We're being different up here, and so if we do that, you know, the shoe on the other foot, like Matt said, I'm in support of that, and so, yeah, there's a motion been made to amend the agenda, and now we'd be looking for that motion.
Go ahead, why don't you do it?
Looking for the motion.
And you can call
I make a motion.
closing citizen comments.
I make a motion that we add to the agenda public comment following board member comment.
Second.
The second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion passes.
Kearney, motion passes. No,
So I think we're finishing up board member comment,
I'm making.
aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we done with the?
I just want to say it's a
sorry.
privilege working with you guys. It's been fun working on the Siren thing. I'm glad to see it come to fruition finally.
Yeah, once again, thank you so much for everything you've done. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Matt said it, I think, for me.
Yeah, me too. This was a fun day.
Ben put in is commendable.
Yeah, this was fun.
Got nothing else to do.
I know, you get a lot thrown at you.
I'm
I
looking
have so
for a
much
motion.
going
Like they just are like, oh yeah, and by the way, William,
I am
do
looking,
this too.
yeah, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We need
Any
a second.
opposed?
Chair, we need a
Motion
second.
passes. With
I'll-
adjourn.
I seconded it, and,
Second, third, and fourth. Say.